In terms of what you'd been anticipating, this number, as Rick mentioned, may be a little bit weaker than the whisper number, but certainly better than the consensus.
Yeah, well, that whisper number really, it was increased in part because of the strong durable goods numbers, which is business investment. So that's good, but also because of trade, where you actually have this situation where because we had a big rebound in demand and imports were stronger, the trade deficit widened. I think stepping back from the data that I have seen, the trends that we were expecting were there. Strength in consumer spending, strong rebounds in housing and business investment. Of course, you see the weakness ongoing when you look at non-residential investment, when you look at state and local government spending. I think I would just echo what was said by Rick, which is that it may look like a V because you're up 33% after being down 31, but it's not. You're still not, back to where you were before the virus hit. And quite honestly, we don't think you're going to be back at that level probably well into 2021.
Yeah, Stephanie, the other added part of this is, these numbers, again, are backward looking. And we are seeing an increase in COVID cases. A lot of questions about what's going to happen to the economy under that scenario, whether we see people deciding to not go back out and whether that hurts the economy, or whether we've gotten a little better at managing this. What do you think?
I think that, the evidence is pretty clear. We are in the midst of a spike in terms of the virus. I think that, the likely result of that is that we are going to see perhaps localized, but we're going to see more lockdowns as hospitals get overwhelmed and mayors and governors are forced to do what they need to do to manage the healthcare system and to try to keep people safe in their cities and states. So I think you're going to see this undulating sort of, shift across the country as the virus moves through and policymakers respond. And as you said, consumers respond, because as long as people remain concerned about their health and safety going out and getting back to normal, they're going to essentially vote with their feet, and businesses are going to see that reflected in terms of, the lack of customers coming through their stores.
Michael, how are you looking at the GDP number, not only the GDP number, but also jobless claims, which are pretty important too?
Well, I guess I'm looking at it in a couple of ways. I'm trying to think about what this means for policy, and a GDP number around what we got. A lot of this growth, my guess, was earlier in the quarter when the CARES Act provisions, the more generous unemployment insurance, the payments to households, the Paycheck Protection Program, were helping to support the economy. Just given the kind of mechanics of the way GDP is calculated, and there's really no need to go into this, but if you really plunge in the month of April in the second quarter and then recover quickly in the month of May and the month of June, that's all second quarter stuff. You could get a real good third quarter number and not see a whole lot of improvement. But so I think a lot of what we saw is the reopening, certainly, but was fiscal policy, was the CARES Act. And my big concern is that a lot of those provisions have expired. The Paycheck Protection Program expired in August. A lot of the income support for households expired in July. And so I think that this really suggests, A, that the CARES Act was a success, but B, that the absence of fiscal policy support, especially given that we are looking at a resurgence, we're looking at a situation where in some respects, at least the worst of the virus may be yet to come. We really need more fiscal policy support. And when you look kind of into the details of the report, you look at the contributions to GDP. No surprise, big contribution from consumer spending. The government helped consumers. State and local government spending contributed negatively. There was a negative growth contribution, which to me suggests that we really need to be helping states and localities.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.